Manchester United beat Fulham 1-0. My weekend has not been ruined as we got the 3 points, but was the win papering over many cracks and many problems yet again in the Manchester United squad. Yes, it wasn't a very convincing win. The football wasn't brilliant to play and it wasn't the prettiest performance, but I have to say, once Mason Mount and Pellistri came on the pitch for Antony and Eriksen, we did look like a much better side, and maybe Erik ten Hag will take note, make substitutions earlier and be a little bit more flexible with his substitutions. He gives Antony a bit of favouritism, Eriksen a bit of favouritism. You side Mason Mount, Pellistri's young and hungry. They, for me, made a big difference. I thought Johnny Evans had a good game. Maguire had a good game. We got a clean sheet. Onana made some fantastic saves. And you know what? You could technically say we won 2-0 because we have to say VAR was absolute shambles. But we need to talk about that game. Antony, Bruno, the midfield, the problems at United, the positives, the negatives, and really break down this game. And I want to talk about Facundo Pellistri has to start over Antony. I don't know if Pellistri will ever be United level. I don't know if he's made for the Premier League with the physicality of it. But Pellistri cannot be any worse than Antony. And Pellistri in 5 minutes did more than Antony did in 60 minutes today. Pellistri came on with some hunger, desire to win the ball. Every time Pellistri lost the ball, he fought to win the ball back. Pellistri was putting 110% into win the ball back. And at the moment, we need the basics. We need the bare minimum from the Man United players. And at least Pellistri brings the bare minimum effort, work rate, following instructions. It should be a given, but a lot of Man United players aren't doing that. And Pellistri fought hard, got a well-deserved assist, put a few decent balls in. Happy with Pellistri. Feel very sorry for Rasmus Hojlund. Saw a statistic that United haven't created a chance for him in the last 3 games. People will say he's got 0 goals in 8 Premier League games, but we know when Hojlund gets chances, he scores. VAR, absolute shambles. Garnacho, he lost the ball a lot, but he was trying to make things happen. He's been more impactful than Rashford and Antony has in our last few games. And I thought we looked a lot better when Mason Mount came on. I have to criticise Erik ten Hag. I don't know how that midfield lasted 75 minutes on the pitch before he brought on Mason Mount. Eriksen's best role at United is at half-time, if we're struggling to control the game, bring on Eriksen at half-time, utilise him, play him once a week at half-time because Eriksen can't play more than 60 minutes without getting tired. Eriksen in the second half was abysmal. I don't know how he stayed on the pitch so long. McTominay was okay, but he's not a 6. I think, the fact that we're not creating any chances for Hojlund goes back to the balance in midfield, and I'd like to see Maino, Mount, Amrabat, Bruno, sort of the 4 midfielders that kind of rotate in those roles. But I would conclude with drop Antony, start Mount would be my main conclusion from the game. I'm going to start with the positives and then we're going to have to get into the negatives because unfortunately there's a lot of negatives, but I do always want to be on a positive note. We won the game 3 points. Look, I'm absolutely scraping the barrel here with the positives, as I said earlier. But I think, Maguire had a really good game. His passing map was really, really solid. Onana made some really good saves. Onana, had an iffy start to United, but I have to say, since Copenhagen penalty save, he's been good the last few games. He actually subbed Antony off. Do you remember how he gives Antony a lot of favouritism? He subbed Antony off for Pellistri, so that's a big positive for me. We looked a lot better when Mason Mount came on. A lot of people are going in on Mason Mount. I said, I can't be negative about Mason Mount. I can't have a go at Mason Mount when we're playing dreadfully, we're losing games, and Mason Mount's not getting on the pitch. It's not Mason Mount's fault he's not getting on the pitch. Ten Hag signed him. Ten Hag's not playing him. You can't be mad at Mason Mount and call him rubbish when he's not playing when we're playing rubbish. When he does play, Mason Mount, I wouldn't say he's been amazing because no one's been amazing at United this season, but Mason Mount has been better than 90% of our players when he has played. I think Garnacho, as I said, had threatening moments. I think the back four was decent. We got a clean sheet, and hopefully Erik ten Hag will take note and actually make some substitutions because of this. My biggest frustration with Erik ten Hag is the lack of substitution making. Some players are consistently poor, do get a favouritism, and that's what cost Ollie his job, favouritism. And we have to talk about this guy here, Antony. Lost possession 10 times, 1 out of 4 dribbles completed, 3 out of 10 ground duels won, 1 out of 3 tackles won. For me, you either play Mason Mount at right wing or you play Pellistri at right wing. Now, Pellistri's a good young player. I don't know if he's ready. I don't know if he's United level. But for me, you either got to play a midfield 3 of Amrabat, Maino, Bruno with Mount on the right, or you put Mount in midfield and you were playing Pellistri on the right. I've tried to be positive about Antony, and I will give Antony this. Antony is a system player. He's a possession-based system player that suits a team that has runners around him. He doesn't have that at United. Antony, signed for 90 million, is a system player. Yes, we should be playing the system 10 at Ajax that suits Antony, and it's not completely Antony's fault, but he is just crap. I can't defend that. He is just crap. What I did like, and I'm not McTominay's biggest fan, but I do like McTominay's attitude, mentality and work rate. I will never question that. Is McTominay said this: we saw the banner before the game. A few of us said to each other, the fans pay good money to watch every single week. We must repay them. And the one thing I will say, whether you like Bruno, whether you like McTominay, whether you like players like Pellistri, whether you like players like Maguire, whether you like players like Jonny Evans, those are the type of players that will give 110%. Those are the type of players that try, work hard, whether they're good, whether they're bad. That they are the players that do care about Manchester United. They're not the type of players to give up as well. But what does worry me about Rasmus Hojlund is this. Manchester United failed to create a chance for Rasmus Hojlund for the last 160 minutes of Premier League football. 8 versus Sheffield United, 73 versus Man City, 79 minutes versus Fulham. Rasmus Hojlund is a good player. Rasmus Hojlund holds up the ball well. He dribbles the ball well. He's got so many good attributes to be an elite striker. And it might be if he starts his United career, but I do generally believe that Rasmus Hojlund will become a good striker, will be a good player at United. He's just not getting the service. Other things as well, you could say Ten Hag is the quickest Manchester United manager to reach 50 wins. Even though we've won 8 games this season and only one of the wins has been convincing versus Crystal Palace, I will say this, I'm going to question Erik Ten Hag's tactics. I'm going to question why he persisted with that midfield for so long, and I'm going to question the style of play. I'm going to question the football that we're playing. But I don't think Erik Ten Hag is a bad manager. And I'm going to continue to say that I don't think Erik Ten Hag is a bad manager. He won us a trophy. He got 3rd last season. He did a great job at Ajax. He's stubborn. He needs to stop this favouritism. He needs to give the young people a chance and maybe he'll learn. But I generally think, sacking a manager, maybe it solves the short-term problem at United. If you sack Ten Hag, you've got Darren Fletcher as interim to the end of the season, it won't get better. We've got to back Ten Hag, hope the players show the attitude to turn it around and hope we can fight. Maybe in the summer we sack Ten Hag, but we are giving Ten Hag to the summer because we can only afford an interim. I do not want an interim. We need to give the manager time. Arteta got time. I just want to see progress and better football from Ten Hag because the football is poor to watch. Bruno got man of the match. I don't think Bruno was particularly good. He did make one big chance and he did score a goal. So I will give that to Bruno. I actually thought Jonny Evans had a really underrated game here. These are Jonny Evans' game numbers. As you can see, 5 clearances, blocked a shot, made a tackle, wasn't dribbled past at all. Won most of his duels. I generally think Jonny Evans had a very solid game. 59 touches here. I think Jonny Evans had a solid game. Maguire was definitely the better of the 2 centre-backs there, but I was looking at Jonny Evans and I thought, Jonny Evans was solid today. And look, I don't know why Varane's not starting. There's clearly an issue with Varane. There's clearly a problem with Varane, which I don't want to believe, but there's definitely something going on that we don't know about. But Jonny Evans did have a solid game. I have to say it was a crap game. You needed one of those special goals to win the game. And I know a lot of people don't like Bruno Fernandes and Rashford because they're moments players. But when Man United are consistently producing nothing, when Bruno and Rashford didn't play versus Newcastle, we produced nothing. It doesn't matter if Bruno and Rashford are dropped or Bruno and Rashford start. We're producing nothing as a side. This is why you need Bruno and Rashford because they're the only 2 players capable of producing something good. And Bruno comes in with a captain's goal. It's the only kind of goal that can win the game, as awful as that. And, Pellistri did a big chance for that Bruno goal as well. So you have to give that to Bruno. I know a lot of people don't like Bruno. I know a lot of people don't like Rashford, but they are not the problem at this club because they're the only people that can make things happen. They're frustrating. They're out of form. When they're out of form, they're not great, particularly Rashford. But, for me, he always changes the game. He's the captain of United, and people always say, Alice, we need to get rid of Bruno. There's so many players that need to go before Bruno. I don't think Bruno's a problem at United. I think he can be frustrating. Look, Harry Maguire here, most progressive carries, most progressive passes. Look at him here, consistently putting in absolutely solid performances here, Harry Maguire. Look at his passing map versus Fulham. Have to say, Maguire's really impressed me recently, and I'm glad. I've always said this. Players like Maguire and McTominay, I wanted them sold, but if they can come and play well this season and prove me wrong, I'm happy for it. Maguire's proving me wrong at the moment. In the long term, will he? Because he was crap against Newcastle or Man City. I'm not sure. But for now, Maguire's having a good game. I don't think McTominay is brilliant. I don't think McTominay is good enough for United. He scores a few goals. I don't think he's good enough for Manchester United at all. And I don't think he was brilliant today, but he was definitely one of the better players. He's just not a 6. But positives to me is Maguire. I'd like McTominay dropped, I'd like Eriksen dropped, and I'd like Antony dropped. To be honest, next game I'd play Pellistri, I'd play Mount, and I'd probably play Amrabat or Maino as well. Man United have actually had talks to sign a right back as well, but I thought Wan-Bissaka did have a solid game. I actually think there was nothing negative really in the sense of like the back 4. And look, we've got Copenhagen and Luton as our next 2 games, so potentially we've got a chance to win the next 2 games. But what I want to see is not Manchester United winning games. Well, I do want to see Man United winning games, obviously, but what I want to see is Manchester United winning games convincingly. Garnacho had an all right game, 2 dribbles completed, 2 key passes. He did lose the ball a bit. He was a little bit rusty. I don't think he's 100% ready to start, but he's made more of an impact than Rashford and Antony this season. And we've got 2 games against Copenhagen and Luton coming up. And I want to see wins, but I want to see wins that are convincing. This win wasn't totally convincing. We technically did win 2-0, you could say, because of the goal being ruled out was completely unfair. You could say we won 2-0, but to be honest, Onana kept us in at moments. Fulham did have chances. The way they just ran through our midfield is particularly worrying. So for me, I want to see a convincing win. The only convincing win still to this day has been against Crystal Palace. The performance wasn't great, but I'm not going to sit here and rant and rage. I'm going to try and be positive. I'm going to try and look for the positives. The midfield is crap. Ten Hag needs to make changes. The style of football is crap, and the win was not convincing. But I want to see a convincing win from Manchester United, and hopefully we will soon. Everybody in the comments, do let me know your thoughts on the match down below. Put some comments in the chat. Of course, hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Tell me who your man of the match was. Mine's between Onana and Maguire, but I'm very happy with the substitutions, and hopefully he makes more subs. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.